Who is Paul and how is he connected to Jesus?
That's a really important question because next to Jesus, Paul is the most important figure in Christianity, I would say. So it's a seriously important question. I think at the beginning it's important also to note that Paul never met Jesus. It's not like they hung out together, not they knew each other. They never met, literally never. And everyone knows this. This is not conspiracy. No, they never met. In fact, at that time of Jesus' life on earth, Paul wasn't a Christian. He persecuted the followers of Jesus after Jesus left the scene. So he was an anti-Christ figure in a very real way. And he admits this in his letters. But he did have a religious experience, what we call on the road to Damascus. He encountered what he thought was Jesus. And it's interesting, there are three versions of the story of what happened told in the book of Acts. The book of Acts is a book in the Bible which tells the story of the early church. There's actually many about Paul, really. Not really about everyone else. Very, very little about anyone else. And in one of these accounts, which Paul tells in Acts, he had this vision of Jesus. That's what he calls it, a vision. And the people with him, around him, saw nothing. And what's interesting is that Paul in his letters, in one of his letters, says that Jesus appeared, this is the resurrected Jesus, he appeared to the apostles, to Peter, and last of all, he appeared to me as to one untimely born. So he sees the appearance of Jesus to himself as the last in a series of appearances, also given to the apostles who knew Jesus. Now, why does this matter? Well, if it was a vision, as Paul calls it in Acts, and the people in one of the versions of the story saw nothing, what does it say about the other resurrection appearances to the apostles, the claimed appearances? I mean, I don't know what really happened. But this is not what Christianity now teaches, that Jesus bodily rose from the dead. He ate fish, he did this, he was solid, he was, look at the wounds, and very physical description. But this is much later. Paul is the earliest writer in our New Testament, not the Gospels. The Gospel was written much later. So it raises the intriguing question that the original appearances were visions that people, if you and I were there, we might have seen nothing.
Right.
Now,